Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bees All Day. I'm getting ready to post the link up here. Paste. Y'all come on in. We're ready to go. How's everybody today? Everybody get home from Nobby safe? Everybody good? Hey, Mike. Roy's on here. Roy, how's everything tonight? Gina, good evening. There's Charlie. How's everybody?
Hey, Mike.
Ice Mountain, hey. So everybody, it looks like everybody got back from Nobby good, well, safe and sound. Everybody's doing well. I've been pushing snow all day today, so it's been a long day.
Let me see if I can.
And we're still not done.
What's that?
We're still not done pushing snow.
Well, I did some snow, not much today. There's Sandy, Richard, Gina.
Yeah.
Gina, I met it at Nobby.
Did I meet you, Gina?
No, me and Gina talked bees till midnight.
That's right. You met her there at the hoedown.
Hi, Bill. Hi, Charlie.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
There's Will.
Hey, guys.
Bill.
So Will had a booth right behind me.
Yep.
Yep. I think he was pretty successful.
Yeah, I'm happy.
That was your first time there, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was my first time as a vendor. I was down last year just, looking at stuff, but I had a great time though. My daughter had a great time. Everybody had a great time. My girlfriend had a great time, so we got home without getting hung up in the bad weather, so
that's good.
So what was your impression of Nobby as a vendor?
Me?
Yeah.
I think it's a great place to get a whole lot of exposure from being a vendor standpoint to everything and everybody, and the networking side of it. Bill, I was talking to you a little bit about that. I mean, hopefully helps get my name out there and wanting to sell some woodenware, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I thought it was a great, you get exposed to everything down there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Carl.
You do. Hey, Keith.
I see a ton of videos and stuff and great pictures and everything. More this year than ever on Facebook and everything.
Yep.
Charlie, I saw you
Charlie.
in there with the stream team. It was excellent. I saw Charlie in there.
What's that?
I saw you in there with the stream team. There was a whole big group of them there, and I thought, there's Sawmill Charlie.
Yeah, they had a big it was all the content creators that kind of spawned off of Hive Life, and we all kind of spoke about what we are contributing to all this different stuff. Actually, there was there's a Hive body box with all of our, each one of them had our names on it and our and our handle, I guess you would say, Solomon Charlie's Bee Farm, and etched into it and all. So that was quite interesting. It happened to be where I happened to be walking by when they were doing all that and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It seemed like there was a lot going on and all.
Well,
Hey, Scott.
you can officially say you're one of the legends now, Charlie, because you got your name engraved on a box.
Yeah, it's official by Bruce's Bee.
Yeah.
Scott, you didn't see me in the group photo? No, because I left a day earlier so I could beat the snow home. And the only thing of it is I did run into the snow. I mean, I found out why Sandy Icy Mountain Honey calls herself Icy Mountain Honey, because he went about 30 miles worth of driving snow at 35 and 40 miles an hour to get through the mountains and everything. And all that kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Hey, Nancy. Hey, Tom and
Hey,
Melissa.
Nancy.
I'll be back in a minute. I got to get.
Go get your popcorn, Charlie.
Yeah.
So Nancy showed up down there at my booth to pick up her square feeders. And while she was there, she came up with a great idea how to improve these things. And we talked about it. We talked to Fred Dunn about it. I talked to a couple of plastics guys. And Motherlode is actually going to take it on and probably do it. Between Motherlode and Andy Knight, it'll get done. And we're going to make them deeper, about 3 inches deep, so that the stand for the Hive Alive fondant can be used in it. So we're gonna, it's in the works.
What's this thing gonna do again, Bill?
The square feeder that Nancy bought was a spinoff of Rapid Rounds, made by the same company.
Yep.
And Nancy had the great idea to make them deeper. So that, because the Hive Alive fondant fits in that square feeder perfectly.
Okay.
And you can put the lid on it. But you couldn't use the pizza box stand that came with it, that keeps the fondant from falling flat on the bees. The bag.
Yep. The blue things.
The blue things. The blue
Yep.
pizza stands. So we are going to, I went to Motherlode and a gentleman named Andy Knight down in Texas, and he's going to look at doing it too. And Motherlode thinks they can do it through injection molding easier than it can be printed. So the gentleman at Motherlode is going to be getting back to me as soon as he gets a prototype done. And Nancy, when he gets it done, I'm going to send it to you to make sure it fits the criteria that you told us about. So she'll be the final judge of whether it's going to work or not. I told Motherlode I would market it.
So what's up with Charlie's hat? He's sitting there with a hat on and he's grinning like a chicken.
Well, it's like at the NASCAR. You got a free hat. You got to advertise. This is the Via Honey. Blow me up there.
I'm trying.
There you go. Via Honey.
There you go. Via Honey.
Honeybees.
That's the same hat I got on.
That's Tom Melissa's hat.
Okay.
I got the exact same hat on, Charlie.
Yep.
Blue and white.
Yeah. Yours is gray though.
No, it's blue. Camera's not showing it good.
No, but the front of it's gray.
Oh, it's gray. It is gray. Gray and blue.
My son's got that blue one, Charlie. Noah.
What's that, Philip?
My son Noah has that blue that you have.
You're breaking
You're breaking
up.
up, Phil.
Ah, crap. I think my son
Yes,
Noah
Hank.
had,
Your son's got the same hat.
yeah, that Charlie does. I've got the black one.
Mm.
So you're making yourself another stand?
No, I'm making boxes. I'm making medium boxes.
So how did the stands go over with Cayman, Philip?
I think they went pretty good. They had sent me the wrong pattern, so my stands are about 2 inches shorter than the ones they had. But other than that, they're fine.
2 inches shorter in height or what?
Yeah, like they were like 3/4 inches shorter per level, and that all
Yeah.
added up to
Hmm.
probably a little less than that. Total was about 2 inches, but probably about a half inch shorter per level.
Yeah.
They sent me the wrong. And what's wild is the design that they actually used is very similar to the one I came up with for Cayman. You know, it makes sense.
Right.
If they just sent me that from the beginning, I wouldn't have overthought it. I would just made
Yeah.
them. But they sent me like a couple of stands, and those stands that they sent me were there, but there was only a couple of that style.
Right.
But you know, my mother made me to make those market stands, which I'll probably continue to make. I've already sold one to
Me.
that guy.
Yeah. Didn't I see it in the auction too, or something like that too? One of your stands.
Yeah, I gave one of them. I donated one of them to the auction,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
sold for 150.
So Phil
Right.
walks up to my booth and throws this thing up on the booth and says, "Put it together without the picture." I had no idea what it was supposed to look like. I had it together in under 5 minutes.
Yeah. All right. I just wanted to, I see Spanky in here, which is the filament corner, and Scott, the unlikely beekeeper, said hi to Spanky. Spanky, you and Scott, the unlikely beekeeper, have one big thing in common, is that you're both 3D printers, and Spanky, Scott has actually a 3D printing farm, as they call it. So you guys can have a lot in common as far as talking about that kind of stuff. Just want to let you know.
And also, thank you. I got a note from the guy you sent the package to, and he received it. So appreciate you sending that out.
Now I got to go get my popcorn.
Hey, Danny, looks like you got home safe and sound.
Yeah. I changed my background. Today's picture.
What is there?
11 inches of,
There?
It's
11
snow.
inches of
How
snow.
much snow did you get?
11 inches.
Wow.
Funny thing is, last Monday it was 64 and sunny. This Monday, 11 inches and cold. That's Cincinnati weather.
Yeah,
Well,
when
Icy Mountain Honey, she got 12 inches up there, Sandy, along with ice.
Yeah, we had a little bit of ice around the 8. We got about 8 inches some ice and then about 3 more inches.
We're
yeah, we,
supposed to get 4 to 6 inches on Thursday.
really,
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
supposed to get more Friday.
yeah, I woke up to about 6 inches of snow this morning, and then it stopped snowing, and then we got everything pushed, and by the time I pulled back in my driveway, everything I'd done in the driveway was covered over again. So I guess I'm gonna end up pushing either again tonight or in the morning.
Yeah,
So
it's snowing here about
Hell happened.
we might get 1 or 2 more inches. And that's it.
Yeah, I cleaned it up. I cleaned about 2 inches off this morning, and then
We got about let's see. I guess we got about 6 inches here.
Oh, you got way more than we did then. And Bill and I were talking before we got on here, and I was looking out the garage, and it looked like there was another inch or two maybe down on the driveway since I did it last time.
Yeah, it's still snowing here.
Yeah, I mean, we had, and I know that, not, like you say, Sandy said she had 12 inches and ice, and the trees were all bending over and everything like that. I went through there coming home a day ahead of time, and from about once you pass Morgantown, as you start going up the mountain in West Virginia, that's when it started snowing pretty darn hard, where you actually had accumulation on the roadways until I got into Maryland and got to about actually get into the second county, which is Allegheny, where Frostburg was, and then finally it quit. And then once I got past Cumberland, Maryland, the skies opened up, sunshine, and the roads were dry. I did also get some snow on top of the mountains between Charleston and Morgantown on 3 or 4 different mountains there.
And that was Saturday.
That was Saturday. And then we were listening to the radio coming home right in that like Clarksburg, area, West Virginia. And Sunday they were predicting 6 to 10 inches right there. So I'm kind of glad I would have been nicer to be able to, stay for the pictures and do all that different stuff. But I don't know. I'm glad I got back. And see, Tom and Melissa's got 6 to 12. And then one of his biggest customers almost had 13 inches.
Yeah. I saw we're not supposed to get above freezing to between now and January 20th. And that's the farthest they went out.
Yep,
So we're gonna
same
have
here.
a cold couple weeks.
Yep.
So I think the snow on the hives and around the yard's going to be sticking around for a while.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
Plus, they're calling for more snow next weekend.
I know. Friday. Accumulating snow. They just won't say how much.
I often wondering why couldn't they move Nobby to, let's say, February, where it wouldn't be as unpredictable weather-wise.
Well, I think we all know why he's not.
Well, I mean, you
Because
got the speakers and they're off from their work and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know whether do they gear up in February, I guess. I guess they start to.
Yeah,
they're like
they're in
everybody
California.
else.
Yeah, they're in California by February.
Well, you figure somebody in the deep south, they're already up and running.
Yep.
Usually, like in Georgia,
Yeah.
they start queen rearing on Valentine's Day.
Yep. And most of your commercials that do pollination, they've already shipped bees out. They're shipping bees south.
Yeah. By then.
Yep. They're in Georgia or they're on their way to California.
I don't know about how it is in Louisville, but here February weather's more unpredictable than January.
Where are you at, Mike?
Vermont.
Oh, yeah.
I just looked him up. Wonder how Big Mike, whether he made it back or not. He's from
They did.
New
I talked to
Hampshire.
him today. They made it back, but they had to fight their way in the driveway.
Big
Yeah.
Mike was there. I didn't even know he was there. Was he at the dinner?
He was at the dinner. He was setting up at the head table there.
Okay, shoot. I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, when Cayman tried to get the conference center the first time down there, Expo Center, it was already taken. And then whoever had those dates that came and got the first weekend in January canceled, and they called Cayman back, and he got that weekend. So it's his weekend now.
Is that Kentucky Center? You mean at a Kentucky thing?
The Expo Center.
Well, that's how he got it down in Tennessee. That weekend that he had it down there in Tennessee was the weekend of the RV show. Well, because of COVID, there was no more new RVs to be sold because nothing was built. So they canceled. That's how he got that slot for 2 years. Now,
Yeah.
from what Cayman kind of alluded to, I'll say, I think you're going to find that next 2026 will be a week after the first of the year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or half a week maybe. But yeah, you're right.
Well, for trucking, logistics, and all that stuff.
Yeah, trucking logistics this year were a nightmare.
Also, the vendors had a lot of issues with their employees not wanting to work that close to New Year's.
Because
The big,
next
you know,
year,
The bigger companies, the better bees and man labor.
the big vendors would have to set up on the 31st of December, arrive on the 30th, set up on the 31st, because the first day of the show would be January 1.
Yeah, they had. Yeah, I was told it would not be on the New Year's by one of the vendors. So, because I was commenting that the turnout sure wasn't going to motivate Cayman to move it, because they had about as many people as they had last year, maybe a little more.
They had more.
Okay, I was out at the front door there. Cayman came out. I got it on video, but I'm going to say there were 3,800 beekeeper tickets sold. He had 40 some on staff. About
There was
I can't hear you.
38. I'm just saying 3,800 there weren't that many participants. Right?
I can't understand you, Philip. You're over there and it's muffled.
I don't know why it changes. It should be Bluetooth, but 3,800 it was a good bit more than it was there. It's more like 2,600 participants. 3,800 was probably closer to the total of everybody.
I thought I heard he sold for 4,000 tickets or
He
stopped
cut
it at
ticket
4,000.
sales off at 4,000.
Yeah.
Well, he came out front there and stated that I'll have to get my figures right, but I'll say 3,900 were ticket sales. Then he had 40 people working on the staff, and then there was about 500 people in the vending area.
Yeah, I agree with all those numbers.
Or more, and there was somewhere quite right at 4,000 people in as a whole, not just ticket sales.
So that means there wasn't 3,800. There would have been a good bit less than that, right? You're right. He had like 500 or 600 vendors there.
Yeah, 250 vendors there.
Yeah.
I heard 130.
There was 100. There was 140 vendors last year.
Okay.
And Bill,
there
you
were more
said
vendors
250. How many vendors, Bill? You know?
Maybe 160 or something like that. What I heard. I can't remember.
We were told 250.
Okay.
So, but I got all my stuff the first day and then walked the vendor hall the first and second day. And I checked out Randy Oliver's, one of his sessions on OA. And I wanted to do one on Saturday with the guy with the extended release OA, but that didn't happen.
Greg
Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg Rogers. I'll have to. He was out front. I needed to get some information from him. I need to have him zoom in for a meeting, hopefully.
Was that the one where he was going to report on the number of treatments a year and all? He was going to give up all that stuff he's been working on, all the information on it.
It was what he and Bob Benny had, those 2-part video.
Yep.
He was going to expand on that.
Okay.
Hey, Phil. Phil,
Yes, sir.
Tom and Melissa want to know if you're working on their shelf.
I'm working on my medium boxes. What I'm doing right now is I'm so cheap that I have all these 12-inch wide shelves that were given to me out of 3/4 CDX, and when I cut a piece out of them, I end up with this piece that's this wide. If you can see, let's see. I end up with a piece that's this wide, and then when I cut the deeps out of them, I end up with a piece that wide. So I glue those together to get another medium out of them. So what I'm doing now, I biscuit jointed all that, and I'm clamping those together so they can dry. But I'll get right on that, Tom. Don't worry.
You should have bought the one I got, Tom.
Yeah, he didn't get a chance, Bill. Bill just threw the money on the table and said, "I'm taking it." I was ready to do a little bit of negotiating, but he's like, "Bill's a man."
Now that's not what you told me down there.
No, that offer you gave me though, you went from lowballing me to full price. It's like, I need to do your negotiating for you.
I wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure I got it.
I'm gonna buy some more frames from you though. I feel bad that I guess those were already packed on the truck, the ones I was trying to get.
Well, just give me a call. We'll work it out.
How'd you do, Bill? Overall, were you happy with it?
I'm very happy with it. We had a really good show. I've got some new products I'm gonna bring on this year, and it's gonna work out good for us. I do believe, and we made a lot of good contacts. I met a lot of new friends. No Life Beekeepers group down there. Y'all are great, and I'm very glad I joined that group. And y'all came up and talked to me at the booth and interacted with us like we've been friends for 100 years. So I'm really happy with you guys.
So did I win that Hive? It was on display.
No.
Hey, Bill, guys, I need to hop off. I live back a third of a mile on a private drive and need to do some little work out there.
All right, Tom. See you.
All right, Tom. See you later.
See you, Tom.
I'm already sore from it, so I got to do some more.
Hey, I thought Bill's application to the No Life Beekeepers were still under review. Did we let him in yet, Charlie?
What was that?
Golly, I can't even crack a joke. My connection to it. But I thought Bill's application, I thought his membership application was still under review.
Tom, you need to come in here and defend me, buddy.
Oh man.
So you sold a good bit, didn't you, Will?
Yeah, it was weird. I didn't sell the stuff I thought I was going to sell, but I sold out on some of the other stuff. So it was weird. I'm going to take down Deb made a whole bunch or she made some lotion bars and soaps, and man, that stuff went with with the women like hotcakes. That stuff just blew out. And
there you go.
Some of my 8-frame gear, a bunch of my 8-frame stuff and 5-frame stuff blew out. And I didn't think that would be as popular. I thought the 10-frame stuff would be more popular, but it was just kind of all over the place. That was my first show like that, doing anything like that. So it was a great experience,
It was like us for me, like attending be in Louisville the second time, and now I've learned how to kind of get around town a little bit better and stuff like that. And
Oh, all I do is drive in circles down there still. It seems like.
well, I mean, you know where to go with the building and that kind of stuff to pick up gear in the back.
Oh
And
yeah,
how to get around the building.
Yep.
And then the road. I'm always up at gate 4, which they're revamping that whole gate as big as the gate that's on the number 1 area.
Yeah, they're turning gate 4 into a roundabout or something.
Yeah, it's got a. I went through there. There's a roundabout right there,
Yeah, they're working on it.
and there's going to be a whole new, lit up gate thing there and all that stuff. And then there's the road that goes down where all the rest of the hotels are. I found that road and where it's at, and then I found out where McDonald's is at, which is most important, for breakfast.
No, that one's the most important one right there.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I already know where that's at. I can walk out of my hotel right there to that. I mean, I got there. I found out that I could get there in one day, going through the West Virginia route, and got there a day earlier, which worked out well. And me and Bill, actually, we kind of like came together on the same highway there, more or less.
Yeah.
Where I called him up, where are you at? I just got off of this exit. I said, well, I just passed this exit number. Well, that's the exit I just got off of. It worked out real well. And then I said, well, let's go eat someplace. Well, let's go to this Cracker Barrel. I know exactly where that's at. Don't have to worry about it.
That's great. That is great.
And yeah, I know where the Cracker Barrels and the McDonald's are. That's where. But I want to say to everybody that even though it was a little bit on the tight side, the No Life Beekeepers dinner pizza party was a grand success, and I think everybody had a lot of fun. And I think that I don't know how we're going to do it, but I think that our dinner party, definitely want to find a bigger place, of course, but I think it's going to really get explode into something really one of the places to be, and as far as I'm concerned.
Dude,
Well,
you want to
Tom,
talk about how about the VFW? Whoo-wee.
Yeah.
Well, they had the same problem we had when it came to the Hives for Heroes. They had 250 tickets sold, and there was 135 chairs set up.
Yeah.
That VFW was jammed. That was crazy.
But you know what the thing of it is, though, by the time everybody got their food, it seemed like nobody was standing.
Everybody sat. Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
And the Bluegrass music wasn't very good, but other than that.
What? Come on, Charlie. I thought it was good. You didn't think so?
Let me tell you something, Phil. As Bill
I'm
Monroe,
no expert.
no, I am. As Bill Monroe says, if there ain't a banjo and a fiddle in the band, it ain't Bluegrass, and they didn't have either one.
Yep.
They had a cello in there, and that's not a Bluegrass instrument.
That's just a bass fiddle, that's all.
No, they had a bass fiddle and they had a cello.
Yeah.
Now
Which one was the cello? The big one or the bigger one?
What was that big guy playing, Charlie? He was playing
What big
something
guy?
special. There was a big redheaded guy that was up on stage with them. He wasn't. I don't think he was family, but he was over there on the right-hand side. Great big guy, and they said something about him and something special about what he was playing.
You mean the dobro?
Is that who it was?
Well, it had a guitar that was playing flat.
Yeah, it was like laying flat. Yep.
That's a dobro.
Okay.
Kind of
That's a
it's
Bluegrass
kind of like a
instrument.
steel. It's kind of like a steel guitar, isn't it, Charlie? Like
Well, it's the beginnings of an acoustic steel. It's actually a resophonic guitar is the correct name for it. Or like the guys used to say on stage, I got his 55 Chevy hubcap in there. If you ever get to look at one, it looks like a hubcap. but it's a cone thing in there that you play it with a bar, like on a pedal steel, and then you pick it with 3 finger style pickings. But it's the Pero brothers invented it. And everybody just calls it a dobro. And all that. That is a bluegrass instrument and all that stuff.
I think they said that he was like a national champion player or something. I think
He probably would have been.
Yeah, there was something to it.
Yeah, he might have been. There's a lot of those. Yeah. What's Tom doing?
You're tough.
Hey, I know my bluegrass. I've hanged with the big boys before most of them died. One no, like Ralph Stanley. I've been backstage with him. He was on the movie. Her brother were out there. He was singing "Oh Death" and all that. Of course, he had a hood on, but I don't know that. And let's see. I've been on Bill Monroe's bus. All that stuff. There's Big Mike. He made it back.
Yay!
Yay. It was a long night.
What's up, Mike?
Not much.
And your internet is up and running.
I put a mouthpiece. I went to the speaker. Maybe it was just my speaker that was doing that. So I figured I'd try.
I thought you might have needed an extra couple squirrels to turn the generator.
It was great meeting you guys.
Yeah, it was great to meet you.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun at your booth, Bill. It's too
Thank you.
bad. Phil didn't recognize me while I was sitting
Was that you that was sitting back there? Okay. You got to speak up, Mike. Sorry.
there.
Hey, Philip. Bill brought on Big Mike as a bouncer. If you keep dogging on him, and saying he's not part of the group, Big Mike should bounce you out.
Okay, he should have.
But hey, Big Mike's gonna pull Phillips no lifer card.
Hey, that big gnome that I
Big
had?
Mike
I named
Yeah.
Mike the Muscle, the big one, the big
Yeah.
tall
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
What does he look like? Looks just like Big Mike.
Yeah, it does.
I might have to get another one of them and send it to you, Mike.
Yeah, I saw you sitting there, Mike. I didn't know that was you, though. Sorry.
Yeah, I was talking to you about the wood shop, and you said you don't want to see mine because you want to move in.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Hey, listen, Melissa's putting together a compilation video of all of our pictures and probably a few short videos actually right now as we speak. Listen, you guys need to watch this video. There is going to be a part in this video that you need to pay close attention to, and I'm pretty sure that you're going to know what part of the video I'm talking about when you see it. You guys will laugh for days. When I took this video, I'll just preface it with this, and then I'll share what the video was later on after it comes out on a later chat. But first of all, when this happened, I was like a little bit scared of this guy, right? Thinking that he was going to kill me for something that my wife did. And he might be on here. I haven't seen him comment on here tonight. Oh no, wait, hold on. He just commented. No, dog. I'm going to shut my mouth. You guys have to watch the video. It was hilarious. I just set it up, you guys. When Melissa puts it out here this evening, watch it. I'll give you a little hint. It's my best buddy. So.
Oh.
It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
I didn't get to meet JW.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, are you serious? Oh my
No.
God.
There were a few people
As many times as you came by to see me, and as many times as JW came by the booth, I'm surprised you didn't run into him.
No, JW's celebrity status is like, I'm not sure. He might be above Sawmill Charlie. I'm not sure. They're up there close. They got
You're
that
up there,
celebrity
neck
status.
and neck.
The
Neck and neck.
problem, I think JW grew a beard by the time he got to Nobby. Nobody recognized.
Hey, I told him he needed to grow it out for Christmas because he said he would make a good Santa Claus.
Yeah, he make good money at that.
Heck yeah, he would. The only problem is he's got a bad attitude and he'd scare the
I
kids.
was going to say.
There's a lot of kids that deserve a Santa with a bad attitude.
Hey, Mike, you are not wrong, my friend. You are not wrong.
And I'd be the bounce for him too.
Yes. Hey, listen, Melissa's not sitting right here. Don't tell her I said it, but Melissa's one of those kids you're talking about, Big Mike. She's a little brat.
Boy, you are just looking to get it, Tom.
Yeah, he is.
He's walking a fine line.
I'm thinking about mailing you that box.
Oh, hold on. She
Nice.
heard me. I just
Oh,
got
she heard it.
Yep. Yeah, I think that time there at that event was absolutely spectacular. I really enjoyed. I mean, I felt like I knew a lot of people there, like really well, but I've never met half of you guys, face to face. And meeting in person was really just phenomenal. Just to kind of, I like that face to face interaction, but it was a really good time. I will say this: I was a little disappointed, and actually, Melissa was a little bit ticked off too, honestly, with the venue space, because the way that they had portrayed it was that there was ample room in there. Now, here for anybody that was in there, Bill, Charlie, Big Mike, all you guys, Philip, do you guys think that space would hold 55 people?
No.
That's exactly right, and that's what they told us, that room will hold 55 people. When we got there,
especially with one waitress.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what,
she did a pretty good job, though.
One phenomenal waitress, right, Big Mike?
Yeah, she did a great job.
She did, and I'll tell you honestly, hey, Mike, you were there at the very tail end when there was just about a half a dozen of us left, I think. When she come over, boy, when we started talking about Sawmill Charlie, I said, oh, he's big time and YouTuber and this, that, and the other. She was just in awe, and then a handful of us gave her bottles of honey, and she was just, her personality was really fun. She was a fun person to deal with, wasn't she, Charlie?
Oh yeah. Yeah, she really appreciated, like, I gave her some honey and different other ones gave her honey, and we had some different candies and stuff that people had brought and gave her those tins and stuff full of food and candy.
The hardest part is you couldn't even, if you saw someone you recognized, you couldn't get to them to even talk to them. Once everybody sat down, it was tough.
I think, that's the thing. I mean, I think it's, the thing that I got with it is that we were able to get all together at one time. We didn't have to find each other at the venue at let's say the vendor hall over there and all that. And I think that really made it special. Yeah. I think this thing can grow into a really, let me put it to you this way. I think the No Life Beekeepers could be like, hey, this is the happening place. You got to be a member there. Everybody was going to want to come to the No Life Beekeepers dinner party.
I talked to a couple of people down there and had them join while they were there. Put their applications in, and they were treated very well.
Applications for what, Bill?
To join No Life Beekeepers.
Oh, you mean on the Facebook thing?
Yeah.
For what?
So Steve Wehrmuth's on here. So he's the luckiest man I've ever met. So come on in here, Steve, and own up to your luck.
Is he luckier than Paul at Hill Hives?
He won the NL Hive. That everybody.
Who did?
Steve.
I thought Paul won that one.
Paul ended up getting one, but Steve won it.
Paul was telling me he won it.
So
yeah, Phil, when you walked up to Bill's, I didn't recognize you at first because I've never seen you without a hat on.
Yeah.
Or so your stand did very well in the auction, you said too, didn't you?
Yeah, it sold for 150. thought that was pretty good. And I got quite a bit of interest. Every time I walked by there were people taking a lot of pictures of it. So a lot of people probably just be doing knockoffs of it, but that's all right. I won't do that. I don't care. I watched some videos today about how to make patterns so I can cut out those pieces quicker on the router table. So hopefully I can make it a little more efficient than all I was before.
I got an overhead router that would be work really well for you.
All right, quit big time, Mike. It was all right coming from a stranger, but not from you.
So you mean Bill Paul Hale won the Hive?
Yeah, he did. I stand corrected. I thought it was
Okay.
Steve, but it wasn't. Yep. Because he said down there at the No Life Beekeepers dinner, I never win anything. And then he started winning. And then he put a slip in for the Hive. And of course, my rules were if you didn't answer the phone, I went to the next person.
Right.
So they didn't answer the phone. I went to the next person that drew his name out, and he answered the phone. So
I completely forgot you were doing that, Bill.
yep. I gave the first day I gave away a set of Hive tools. Second day was an nail hive, and the third day was foundation.
Yeah, Bill, you had a bunch of those good acorn frames there that I'm really happy to use. That's all we've used in our honey supers, that light foundation, and I've never had bees have issue drawing those out, and they're a really good heavy duty frame. So we appreciate you taking care of that. I think that was a solid deal on those frames, and we were happy to get them.
Yep. Well,
I got to meet the frame manufacturer there over the weekend.
Yeah, they were right across the booth, right, Bill?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right across from us, and next year we're going to have a complete block of booths, 12 booths between the two of us.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like one big booth next year.
Acorn wasn't retailing any of their frames out there, right? They were just there on more of a position of showing you their product and then sending them to you guys to purchase.
Yep, that's correct. And
Yeah,
that's the deal that I have worked out with them. And they're also going to sponsor the channel as well.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about, I mean, definitely we have like a year to plan, but before you know it, they're going to have dates and things like that. We were interested in trying to find a new venue space for the No Life for Beekeeper group. And I'm thinking probably something that'll hold, 100 plus people. And I don't know, depending on what that looks like for folks, maybe even more, I don't know, but looking for a new venue space that is cost effective and appropriate. Of course, if we can get people to help out and donate, we don't have to charge for any tickets,
Yep.
But like this one here was pretty inexpensive. Bill did a lot to help with donations, covering the room.
Personally, even if it was $5-10, I would join the heartbeat, to get a nice venue that was comfortable for everyone.
Yeah.
So, Tom,
Go ahead, Bill.
I know Becky has volunteered. I don't know if she talked to you or Melissa to help next year with the finding the venue and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
If she can get contacts to the extension service out there and
Yeah.
find out what they use and the venues that they use for big functions.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say at least 100, 150 people for
That's
Yeah,
kind of
at
what I
least
was
100.
thinking. Something that's not too far away. It's cost effective. It'll accommodate us. I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice if there was food either there or close. But if there's food there, it might be difficult. Most restaurants don't have a space that'll hold 100 or 150 people. You kind of have to go to a space almost like Matthew with Comfort Pro had, which was a pretty decent space.
Yeah, the VFW would hold us too, but you'll have to get it catered, obviously. But then you just sell tickets to cover the catering.
The only
Yeah.
problem I had with that was the distance to get there
Well,
Yes,
it's
I-
about a 13-minute drive, but
from the interstate or what?
yeah, from our hotel it's about a 13-minute drive, which we were kind of catty corner across from you, Charlie. Or I'm
Well,
sorry.
I guess what I did was I wasn't I would say I didn't want to get on the interstate, so I went through town and around, which really wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it
No,
probably
it
took you
wasn't.
closer to 20 minutes, I'm guessing, if you went through town.
Yeah, about 20 minutes.
Yeah. If you jump on the interstate, it was about a 13-minute drive. But, trying to find a facility that'll hold 100 plus, that becomes a little more difficult, So
The problem of it is you probably go to some of these hotels, but they want so damn much money, and then they
Yeah.
want to cater it, and then you're talking thousands of dollars.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
You
problem
are.
with that is when you're catering it and doing that space, I guarantee the ticket price is going to be somewhere up probably close to $50 a ticket. And that's just going to be to cover costs. Maybe not quite that, but it's going to be dangerously close to that. I only know this from our St. Louis area and what we had to pay to get different, things set up on that, to get that kind of number in there. That's about what it's going to run you is probably not far off from maybe a little less or a little above, $50 a person. So I just want to exclude anybody because of cost,
Right.
I think the food would be about $25 a person. I'm not sure what the venue would be.
But he could have, like you say, if we could have had a venue like we had where you had the room and they could buy the food from the venue, that'd be great. But
yeah, that would be pretty convenient.
yeah. And the location was convenient too, but like I say, the room was crappy. But we didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, we were pretty disappointed. I mean, the last thing you want to do is make people uncomfortable because I know there's a few people, like for instance, a few guys from Missouri, and then they popped in for a few minutes, and then you had let me think about this.
Well, Mike Berry ate
John
in the other
Summers.
restaurant, and then he came in for a few minutes, stuff
Yeah.
like.
Yeah,
And then there was a couple that I met at my hotel. There was 4 of them, and I said, "I see you didn't make it." He said, "Oh yeah, we did. It was crowded, and they stayed for a couple minutes and left."
Yeah, and I think a handful of people did that. So my guess is that number would have been above our 55 that we had. If everyone would have stuck around, because like you said, Mike Berry came in. Dawn and Chris Summers. There was 3 guys from Missouri I know that came in. Those are just the ones that I know of off the top of my head.
We had one from our party that didn't make it because her flight was late from Newfoundland.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I got to meet.
Because I let you know just in case, so you could free up a spot.
You sure did, and we would appreciate that, Mike, because it definitely was what it sold out like 3 weeks prior to, or maybe even before that. So I would just like to include everybody that would want to go and keep it cost effective if that's possible. I know it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do, but if Bill's wife can help out with that too, I'm sure that would be helpful and handy. And Bill, what I can do is I can even forward you Melissa's number, and if your wife and Melissa want to talk in the future or whatever, I'm sure they can figure something out too. We can get this squared away, but trying to find
that would be good, because then that way you and I are out of the loop, and we're not going to gum up the works. You know what I mean?
I'm really good at when after my work is done, I come home and I tell Melissa where I need to be at. I always say this before. I'm like, I plan my days and she plans my nights.
There you go.
Which I'm happy to do, by the way.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
She must be within throwing distance again.
She's actually working right now. I should probably be out working too. I have my boys out working. They're a lot younger than I am. They can run on less sleep. So I got home this morning at 7:30 and took a 2-hour nap and then headed back out for a while. And I let those guys sleep or they got in a little bit after me, and then I let them sleep for a little bit, and then I sent those guys back out. So they'll probably hopefully be done before midnight.
So what are they doing? Clearing roads?
Yeah, well, that we just do commercial parking lots and subdivisions, so they had to go back to a few medical offices and a daycare to take care of those. I mean, for St. Louis, that was a lot of snow that we got. We got anywhere. I mean, south of us got more ice, north of us got more snow, and we were in the transition point. Kind of in the middle of the state. We got a mix of about 3 inches of sleet and then probably about 5+ inches of snow right where I'm at. But one of my commercial properties is I don't know, maybe 20 something miles north of me, across the Missouri River. And there was no sleet, and there was 12.7 inches of snow over there on the parking lot we have. And that parking lot we have over there is about an acre. And it took us about 15 man hours to get it cleaned off with 2 trucks. And then one of my sons was shoveling sidewalks and cleaning those up. So we were there for a long time. Matter of fact, I was getting sick of being there, and I knew we had a bunch of other commercial spots we had to finish up before morning. But St. Louis was an absolute mess this morning with roadways and stuff. But I'm happy that we're going to start to get that behind us. And now we have to deal with the cold that's setting in around here, and it's not going to jump above freezing or even hit freezing until Sunday, maybe. And it's going to be at like 32.
Or snow on Friday.
Oh, and Melissa said there's another chance of snow on Sunday, Friday. So I was hoping to come back and actually rest a little bit, after being on the trade showroom floor, for 2.5 days and just, wanting to live in the moment and visit everybody. I think Melissa and I made it into one class, and that was the one that we actually paid for, which is that comb class. Everything else we didn't. I'm like, we can watch the videos later. So it was really fun just visiting with everybody. And then Philip and Sawmill said something earlier about what Greg Burns has done. And I'll tell you, to be honest with you, I had zero expectation for what that was. I had no idea that was even coming. So it was kind of cool.
I didn't either. I happened to be walking by when they were doing all that.
Well, somebody showed it to me before Greg even did. Well, actually, Melissa did. Actually, she's seen it. And I'm like, and I seen JW's box there. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I started reading, and Melissa's like, look down. And I'm like, what? So I thought that was pretty spectacular that he did that for everyone. It was that was a really nice gesture. And then we had Mick and Larry Sears. I don't think I've seen them on there. They gave us a really, really generous gift too. And then we were, it'll be on that video that Melissa puts out. But yeah, it was a really great time. Just being around everybody and on all the good-hearted folks there that at the event, and getting to meet everybody face to face was pretty spectacular. There's a lot of people that I knew, and of course there's a lot of you guys that we've known each other for, I guess, since we started actually logging on to some of the chats and helping Ricky Rourke with his, which has been just shy of a year. But meeting everybody face to face was really just priceless for us.
Yeah, my kids were ahead of me, and they come running back going, Dad, they got your name on a box over here. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, Charlie, you got more legends to deal with.
I should have played it off like y'all just don't know how cool your dad is.
Hey, Philip, Melissa did the exact same things with our boys, and they're like, well, these YouTube guys is like, how? And first thing to say is, how many followers do they have? Because originally when they used to watch that Mr. Beast, is like, he's got like 2 million followers and blah blah blah, and they're like, you guys are still lame.
Well, when we were all up on the stage and they were filming it and everybody was talking and doing their parts, I was like, boy, I sure wish my kids had walked by and see me up here. And then finally they did walk by, and they stood there for a minute, and then they just left.
Unimpressed, right, Philip?
So they weren't that impressed.
Right. Yep. Yeah, that was fun.
It was fun having them there.
So I didn't get in any of I only took in a couple of the seminars, but did anybody hear anything in any of the seminars or classes that were going on that's going to change either their management, tweak their management stuff of how they manage your bees, or their maybe even their treatment strategy with what they're going to do for mites?
I didn't hear. I only got the one class, and that was it.
Yeah, the three that I went to didn't really have anything to do with managing bees. I went and saw 1.5 of David Peck's and then Fred Dunn's. Fred Dunn's was all about just really cool stuff about, he had really close-up photographs of those bees and the hairs on the bees and the hairs on the eyes. And talked a little good bit about the bee biology and all that stuff. So it was just entertainment for the most part.
Was there anything good that came out of the Greg Rogers stuff? I missed all that.
I missed it. So
Yeah, I missed it. That's the one I really wanted to go to.
Hey guys, I'm going to take off here. Melissa and I actually have a board meeting for the Missouri State just starting here in about, well, actually right now. So I'm going to log off. Just wanted to log on, say hi.
All right,
Thank you
Tom.
guys for everything.
All right,
Good seeing
Tom.
you.
Nice seeing you, Tom.
We'll chat
Nice seeing you,
soon.
Melissa.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Yep. Y'all have a good evening.
Melissa.
See you guys.
Night.
See you guys.
Now, as far as management, I don't really remember anybody ever talking about that. I think that's the problem with that is that people are from everywhere at that conference, and it all management depends where you're located at.
Oh yeah, yep. I was just curious if anybody was struck by anything that was conveyed information wise there.
Yeah. There you go.
He said Greg Rogers' presentation was good, much the same as his video with Bob Benny.
That's the problem with, you kind of already know what it's going to be.
Yeah, you do.
It's like with what's his name from California?
Yeah.
Scientific beekeeping. What's his name?
Randy Oliver.
Randy Oliver, yeah.
Yeah.
His program that I saw, I think I've already seen it once before. So
Did Jamie Ellis from down in Florida, did he do any presentations?
he wasn't there.
Wasn't he? Okay, yeah, I didn't see.
He
He's
wasn't there.
usually got good stuff going on too.
So,
Right.
Will, I saw Greg Rogers last year, and it did get me thinking about doing extended release OA, and I probably will do it this year. But I didn't see the update from this year. I'm trying to decide between using the sponges or using the cardboard staples. I'm not sure if anybody came and it said in the closing that he did both of those. He did half of each, and I wish I'd asked him how they compared in his mind.
Well, the other thing I know, some people who have done the sponges, they say they're messy. They come the what do you call it? The French sponges or whatever they call them.
Swedish.
Swedish.
Yeah.
They're a little bit on the messy side. They break all up and everything. The cardboard, which is that Veroxin, the problem with that is it's just too damn expensive as far as I'm concerned. And then Mike,
make
I
those
don't
yourself.
know when it's coming out, but Mike will be on my show here, let's say within a month or so, with the Oxyvat. Where is it at? Easy Ox Bow, oxalic acid tablets and powder and all that. He is coming out with a, I don't know whether it's cardboard. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be like, well, I'll say, let's say like the cardboard strips. But it'll be at a better price point, we hope.
Did anybody go see that newer battery operated vaporizer?
That one from
it looked like they were selling it for $350 or something like that. It was it wasn't as cheap as the mini that's come out now, but it wasn't as expensive as the compact.
Is that the new one that's come out? There was a new vendor there this year that was selling a new vaporizer.
Yeah, I think they had a big full page ad on the schedule. I think.
Was that the
Yeah.
Italian version?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he was right. He was right beside me.
What
He
what
had
country?
his full version. The show price was, I think it was $308. And
Yeah.
I was talking to Bill a little bit about it. And now I picked up one of those Larobe compacts last year at the show, and I think the show special on that was maybe $400.
It was
And
400.
Yeah, it
the
was
Italian
400 on the compact last year, and the mini coming out is only $299 everyday retail. But the show price on it was a lot cheaper than that.
I think it was
Okay.
$275. I'm not sure.
Okay, because the Italian guys beside me, his full size unit was, I think, 308. And then he had, and I'm assuming that was a show special. And then he has a big valve that can go on that thing. It's like almost, it would remind you of a ball valve, only it was plastic. And that lets you shoot your OA straight. Like it was just another way of doing it. And
Yeah, you
I
charge
think
a little more for that, didn't you?
yeah, I think that was like 358 or something like that, kind of rings
Yeah.
in my mind. But I was kind of impressed with that. My compact, it's running great. Don't get me wrong, it does a great job. But my plunger, man, that acid's hard on that thing, and I need
Do you
to.
wash it?
Yeah, you're gonna have to wash that out.
Yeah, I need to. I do the distilled water after every yard. I do the distilled water on the unit itself. But
Take your plunger and put it right in the dishwasher. Put it in the
that's
sink.
what I need.
I
Yeah,
went
I watched-
back and pulled my directions after you and I talked, Will.
Mm-hmm.
You can mix up some baking soda and water and soak it in baking soda and water as well.
Well, what's
Okay.
the problem? Will it get sticky or something?
You know, it gets corroded because of the acid.
Yeah.
And if you
I
don't,
feel like acid corrodes the heck out of any kind of metal.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's an O-ring in it. And you have to keep an eye on that O-ring.
Well, I need to soak it in water or something, baking soda and water, my plunger, because that thing gets sticky. And even just going between my yards from one to another, I mean, they're 15, 20 minutes apart. But till I get to the next yard, you really got to beat on that thing sometimes.
Bring
to get
yourself
that-
like a coffee can full of water. When you're done, before you go to the yard, just swirl it around in that, and then just let it dry till you get to your next yard. It'll help it a lot.
Okay,
see,
I'll give that a try. And
Yeah.
I usually put Vaseline on that O-ring to try and keep that, because sometimes that gets a little sticky too. But
And
I
then
put Vaseline on it, and that helped that a lot.
I was
Yeah.
over backing it off to get more and more OA, and I ended up bending the ears on one of mine, and the plunger actually got stuck. I had to do a little figuring, but I was able to get it back out and put all the springs back in.
Were you able to get more than 4 grams in it?
If you go way past you, I think it's closer to 5, but I kept doing it more and more, and I started bending stuff inside because I'm not a little boy. But
I don't
once
know. I got my ProVap. It's got a plunger system, but it's not where you select it with a selector. It's just a screw with a bunch of springs, and I backed it up to where I can get the amount that I want in there. But I wash mine every time after every use, the unit and everything. And Travis wants to know what kind of OA you're using, Will.
I'm using Florida Labs at 99 whatever. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not just because some
I went
federal
from 10 pounds this year.
less something. You know what I mean? I'm just buying as pure as I can buy and using it. But anyway, back to the Italian bird. You can change I was impressed with it. You can change the nozzle on it. You can get one it comes with a straight. It comes with 2 different ones that are bent a little differently that you can shoot, like when on my 3/8 inch entrances, my compact, I got to jack it up pretty hard, and then you're trying to get the plunger. It's a little tight. It ain't a big deal, but you know, it comes with, I think there's a total of 3 different copper changeable nozzles on it. And then what I was kind of interested in is you could actually take like some of that crucible where that stuff, you know, burns or vaporizes. You could kind of take some of that apart, that you could drop it in an ultrasonic cleaner. And I was just thinking that that might be beneficial maintenance wise. But you know, I don't know. I need to tweak my maintenance on my Larobe compact a little bit with this plunger and water and baking soda, and maybe it just won't ever be an issue. But I thought it was pretty interesting. He was there looking, trying to get. We were talking a little bit, and he was trying to figure out. He wants Man Lake and the big distributors to pull this unit in and start selling it. And he kind of had figured out that, well, I got to get beekeepers asking for it. And then we talked about it, and I said, well, you need to get hooked up with the YouTube community, because that reaches a bunch of beekeepers, and then they'll start asking about, just kind of how the process would work and stuff. So he was going around talking to some different people, but I thought it was an interesting unit, and I thought it was priced right too. So,
Yeah. Now there's a comment here with Jonathan Stevens. I don't know whether you can bring that up, Bill. No.
Well, here's one by Gary. He was commenting on the video that Bob Benny put out. He had
Yes.
4 grams in each one.
Most likely.
yeah, I saw he was doubling up, hitting them. Holy cow.
Now it says he uses Florida. It's sticky, and but he swapped the mics there, which is the Easy Ox, and it works better. Not sure why, I'll say, and that there is reasoning why. I talked to Mike for about 20 minutes at the show, because there's a difference about his powder. I'll bring that out as soon as we get him on my show. There's definitely a difference.
My Florida Lab is too dry to stick in my plunger, and I end up putting a little bit of distilled water. I keep it in like a mason jar, the lid on it.
Too.
But I open it up and I drip a little. I put a little squirt of distilled water in it, like that I clean.
So why do you use distilled water? Why don't you just go to the tap, or you got iron ore in your water, or what?
I use distilled water because that's what Larobe said to use, and I certainly don't want to build up any, different mineral contact when I clean that vaporizer out. So I do keep, distilled water with me to clean the unit.
I was talking,
and yes, I do have hard water.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody at a show, and his vaporizer from Larobe wasn't heating up properly, wasn't working properly, and Rob told him to. He took the chimney off the top and got down where the heat bowl is.
You got water in there?
No, it was the carbon, I guess you call it, from vaporizing. It keeps building up and building up. And he said he got a handful of trash out of that burn bowl and got back down to the steel, I guess you would say. And it worked like a charm after that. So there is, I know I ProVap of mine, there's a black residue. And I wash it out after every use, but I try to kind of wipe that bowl clean.
Last year I went and bought the caps, the caps you're supposed to use for cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
And I got them home. Well, they gave me the caps for their vaporizer for putting oxalic acid in. I'm sitting there fighting, trying to get them over my... Hey, they weren't for that. Those are blue. The ones they gave me this year were pink, a lot bigger.
Yep. I'd tell you the other thing I did, just, for what it's worth. I took, how they have that $45 silicone thing you can put on top of the compact, or you put on top of the bigger unit?
Yeah, what's that for?
Well,
insulation.
Well, $45 kind of rubbed me raw on that. And I got some of that flat 1/4 inch thick silicone, like the heat pad type, the heat, that you can use for heat. And I cut them around, and I wrapped a 1/4 inch layer of that around the bowl, and I put it flat on top. and then I ran a little piece up the stem a little bit, and I haven't used it enough to really know, but I'm running an 8 amp hour battery on that, a Milwaukee, and I think I think it kept the heat in, and I got a couple more hives out of that battery than I'm used to getting, because it keeps the heat in.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, would you do me a favor and put your contact information in the private chat? I know
Yep.
I have your card, but I do believe it's in my van, and it's going to take me a day or two to find it.
Well, Tom,
Yeah,
did you get all your stuff pushed?
I just got a plug-in
What's that?
model, and I just run it off my battery in my truck. I have a little inverter.
Well, I got my neighbor helped out. He couldn't even find the road. So I was able to go out there and be myself a marker, basically. So we got it plowed for my neighbor down the road, about a
Right.
half mile out.
Is being a marker like being a crash test dummy, kind of the same vein?
Yeah. I had to dive out of the way a couple times.
It's in there, Mike.
Hey, we
Bob-
were talking deoxylic acid sponges earlier. I went out. I kept them in all year last year, and I got a pig mat that's just for water, delusionally hoping that there's probably no flame retardant in it. So I cut it up and used that. And what I don't like about the new Viroxan strips is, and if I'm incorrect, please tell me, I think they only have 25 grams of solution in them. And when I cut those pig mats up, Michael Palmer, Randy Oliver recommends 50 grams, on those strips. I was actually, you can put 50 grams on there and those pig mats absorb them. They'll absorb 75 grams too, that you're getting more in on a treatment. So I used those pig mats, made a whole bunch of them last year, had them in the colonies all year, and was able to put, in essence, almost 3 times as much as in what's in these new Viroxa sand, whatever they are, for what it's worth.
I haven't used them yet.
Yeah, Gary Stewart, I was going to ask you what happened to your formic, but you already answered me. The improperly storage of Formic Pro. I mean, where do y'all store your Formic Pro? I store it in the house, in normal room temperatures and stuff.
If it sits in the sun, and the package is swollen, don't use it. It's off gassed inside the package. You store it in a cool, dry place. Is where you store it. Now, Charlie's going to get the mic from the you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Easy Ox.
I'm going to get somebody, one of either the head of the sales department or one of the developers with Formic Pro. They came out with an education book this year, and get them on my channel on a Monday night so they can answer all the questions that everybody has about Formic Pro, how to use it, when to use it, how it works, what it's designed to do, and you can ask any questions of them you want. So they will be on here to answer those questions for everybody.
Now, Gary says the guy stored it in his toolbox in his truck. I mean, I have what I got here. Most people probably doesn't have it, but I have an extra old bedroom as a storage facility of my bee products, and all my medications go in there where it's, relatively cool. It's out of the sunlight. It's cool and it's warm in the winter and it's cool in the summer. And I've never had any problems like that.
Yeah,
But didn't you say, Bill? I looked at that book, didn't pick it up. The girl, I was talking to the lady that nod, but she didn't make mention of it. It's supposed to
that's
be,
Dana.
yeah. The book, I think you said, is in great detail and a
Yeah.
lot different. Well, you explained it to me about their new educational push, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, because they felt like that the beekeepers were using it wrong, which some of them are. And they felt like they needed to push to educate the beekeepers on how to use the product, when to use the product, and how it works, and what the way it was designed, and a little bit of the science side of it and the practical side of it as well, and to educate the beekeepers. Because face it, there's not a lot of these treatment companies out here that are willing to educate beekeepers on how their product works and when it's to be used, how it's to be used, and everything else. I mean, you can read the label, but the label only tells you so much. So I talked to Dana today, and she said when they get back from ABF that she's going to pass the email, the request up the chain to the directors and get one of the designers to come online and on my show and tell everybody about Formic Pro. So, because it is one of the better treatments that we have out here for mites.
Well, now they need to do something with. I know you said that AprilGuard, the company who owns that,
AprilGuard.
has been
Yeah.
sold.
I believe AprilGuard's been sold out. From what I understand, it's been sold out to another company. So I don't know if they're going to change the formula or not. It's hard to tell. I don't know. I've got to find out.
Well, they need something.
They need to push for education as well.
They need big time education on that
Big
because
time.
some
Yeah.
Philadelphia lawyer wrote those instructions.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're too
They're a
big.
nightmare.
Way too
Well,
big.
they're all trying to keep them from being liable for anything.
Yeah, exactly. So I can get the guys from Formic Pro on here, and Charlie gets the Easy Ox guys on here, and then I can work on AprilGuard, trying to get somebody from them on here, and get everybody some education on these treatments.
Charlie, stick your fingers in your ears quick. But I'm kind of hearing that some of this oxalic acid's getting blended with sugar, and then that's what they're dropping in their vaporizers. And boy, I don't want nothing to do with sugar down in that vaporizer. If it would, I don't know what that would do down.
I've never heard that.
I haven't heard that yet.
I'll be curious when you get that guy on. We'll have a Spanish Inquisition. We'll drop a light bulb down out of the ceiling and we'll sweat him out. But no, I that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that stuff is blended with sugar.
Mike says here
Mike.
only biological has sugar, that's maybe what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd rather buy the Florida Labs and put a little bit of water in it to make it stick.
But yeah.
Now, if you were making that, what do? They make it into a syrup and they spray it down on them.
Yeah, dribble.
That dribble method. I mean, having sugar in it wouldn't. I don't think that'd hurt you at all. That'd probably help you there, but I'm not doing that yet.
Well, the way you're supposed to make that is you're supposed to get sugar water, and then you're supposed to add your oxalic acid to the point where it goes to basically a clear liquid.
Yeah.
And I had a guy here tonight picking up a vaporizer I picked up for him, and he was mixing hot water off the tap with sugar And I said, well, you're supposed to cook that in a, you're not going to make a whole lot of it. It's in a pan, and you're supposed to make clear sugar water as it gets hot, and then you add your oxalic acid to it, and then until you stir it until it clears. But what I've heard just recently, and I don't know where Bill told me this or what, you're supposed to spray them bees with sugar water so their bellies are full. So when you dribble that on there, they're not supposed to suck it in the way I get it.
Yep,
Oh,
that's correct.
I've never heard that. I've never heard that over the years that people had it. I think I dribbled one time and that was it.
Most people will dribble 1 or 2 times, but then you have the hardcore people that believe that there's nothing like the dribble and that's all they'll use. And you can't tell them any different. They won't use it any other way. And technically, when you use the dribble, you're only hitting the top. If your cluster is good and tight, you're only hitting the top 1/3 of that cluster. So what's going on with the bottom 2/3 of that cluster? It's not getting treated. So all you're really doing is making them wet, piss them off.
So Vincent Sobel, what are the variables that are you talking about? Are we talking about heat, humidity, or what?
1 strip, 2 strips.
Well, I can tell you right now, this is per Dr. Sammy Ramsey, who I've talked to. Number one, if you put 2 strips in, the penetration of the vapor underneath the cappings is you're going to get the big kill. If you put 1 strip at a time at every 14 days or whatever it is, you're not going to get the kill underneath the underneath the cappings. That's scientific data.
Did you see where Randy Oliver was talking about leaving part of the cover over the top of the pad so that it was more steady or regular? Did you see any of that he talked about?
I heard about that, where it, you can reduce the off gassing, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Right.
But then you have to also take into consideration where he lives at, what kind of a heat situation he has, and all that. And then with me, as in my videos, when it comes to formic number, 2 things that I take into consideration. One, the instructions say you can put it up to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. I say put it in there 85 or 80 degrees or less. Don't, give yourself a margin of error there. And humidity, which it doesn't have anything mentioned about it. I've asked not about it. Oh, no, it doesn't have any effect on it whatsoever. Well, I'm sorry, I disagree. Humidity has a huge part, I think. Low humidity, it's just like humidity towards us. If you got a 90-degree day and it's high humidity, it feels like it's 110. This past summer, we had a 100-degree day with low humidity, and it wasn't bad at all. And the next day, we had a 90-degree day with high humidity. It was worse than the 100-degree day. And I think it'll off gas and it'll intensify the acid gassing and
it
all
affects
that
the
kind of
fumes.
stuff. What's that, Mike?
I said it'll affect the fumes. If it's really humid, they're gonna just sit there.
Yeah, it's gonna, I guess you might say, lay in the air. You might say.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
nice
Formic Pro,
meeting you.
the way they designed it is the first 3 days is when it off gases the most in the first 3 days. That's why they tell you the temperature is so important in the first 3 days of its use. So if it's when the day you put it in, it's gonna be 75, the next day it's gonna be 77, and the day after that it's gonna be 90. You can't put it in because that's within the first 3 days window. You can't use it because you're outside of your constraints, your directions for use. So,
But Bill, the problem is you can't believe those weatherman. One day to the next day. 4
that's why
years
you have to
ago,
have your own weather station.
4
You have to
years
have
ago,
a weather station. I have a
4
weather
years
station
ago,
sitting on my kitchen counter.
it was on. It was in July. They said it was going to be in the low to mid 80s, low 80s for the next 4 to 5 days. So it said perfect. Well, day number one, it got up to like 88. Day number two, it got up to 90, and day number three, it got up to 92. Killed about every one of my queens. I said I'll never use it again because our weather is so inconsistent that even the night before they said it was only going to be the low 80s, it never happened. 80 degrees.
Well, I use Formic Pro in the spring and the fall. I don't use it in the summer.
Yeah.
It's not designed to be used in the summer. Because think about it, spring you have lower humidity, and the fall you have lower humidity, and the temperatures are lower. So
Yeah. But there's nothing in the instruction that tells you what time of the year it can't be used or should be used.
no, it's not. But here we go back to I've used it for years
Yeah,
and
I know.
experimented with it. And I understand it's got to be used in the spring or in the fall. Can't use it in the summer. It's too unpredictable. Humidity is too unpredictable. So
Well, I use it in September. I call that early
that's
fall,
fall.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could use it in March and I could use it in September. That's about the only 2 months.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. I
April's
mean, you can't use
unpredictable.
it in July or August. I mean, now
Maybe October.
Nancy has done it, and she's gotten away with it. I'll say she puts it in late in the evening when it's at nighttime.
Yeah.
Which you got to. You just got. That's the big thing about any of this stuff. You really have to do your homework on all these products and understand the parameters and way your climate is at your area and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And then that's why I'm all right. Apricot. I want to use that this year. I want to use it in July, and I'm picking people's brain every time I don't know, everybody that's on here. I've picked their brains about it, when they did it, where they located at. I've had some South Carolinians on here tell them, well, they've got a lot more hot heat down that way compared to me, and it's a lot more humid down there, and they've had good effect with Apricot. I know Bill uses it. I've been picking his brain about it and what when he does it and all these different things. And now I have to just sit there. Okay, take all this information, put it together, and then I'll have, try to look for a window of opportunity for heat wise and humidity or not so much humidity. I don't think with that, but maybe, I guess it's kind of like Big Mike says, higher humidity, the vapor is going to be stagnant in the air. And, try and experiment with it basically. And the dosage too. And all.
Yeah. So I get into the Apricot. They changed directions 2 years ago. Prior to 2 years ago, their directions was put the whole treatment in there at any temperature, as long as it wasn't over 104. 2 years ago, they changed it to anything over 77 degrees. You had to cut it in half, cut the dose in half. So
Right.
you cut the dose in half, you either get 25 or 26. I use the cards, so I pull up 25 and I put 25 on a card and I put it on the top of the brood box. And this year they pulled 3 of them out of the hive and threw it out on the ground. So, but
have you ever done 35, Bill?
I either do 25 or 50. So if I put in there,
what I was getting at is some guys will do 35, 35, 30, and that's 100.
Yeah.
And I try to get it done in 3 weeks instead of 4.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm gathering information for myself.
All right, guys, I'm gonna hop back off. I am worn out.
It was
All
nice
right.
meeting you, Tom.
Shoveling all day today. Snow
Don't you have
blower.
no tractor, no plow?
I got a snow blower.
Okay.
I did my driveway, but then I helped everybody else out.
Mm.
All right.
All right. Good night, Tom.
Take care, Tom. I hope you don't get no more
Night,
snow.
Tom.
Good night, Tom.
It's been a long week.
Yeah.
I bet. What time did you guys get back, Bill?
1:30 yesterday. We drove straight through. We stopped twice.
1:30 in the morning?
No, in the afternoon. We left at 5:45 in the morning.
Yeah, we left at 5:30. I got home at just past midnight last night.
Wow. Oh, you left 5:30 p.m.?
No, 5:30 a.m. from the hotel Sunday morning. I got
Oh,
home
where,
at midnight.
where do you live, Mike?
New Hampshire, just a little jaunt.
Okay.
Minivan was right to the roof.
That sounds further than me. We left at 4:35, lost an hour because we were heading west, and got home at like 4:05.
Yeah, it was. It's 15 hours straight driving, but then gas, bathroom,
Yeah.
get something to eat. It adds a couple 3 hours. Then we decided to go up over Hogback Mountain in Vermont. That was a stupid move. It was ice, cars off the road, cars, ambulances, detours, all at about 25 miles an hour. But it kept you on your toes, so you stayed awake.
Well, there, Keith Darn Darnan, I think it is. You know, there he did 4 doses of 25 in or late July, early August, and he's in South Carolina.
Yeah.
He only did it one time. Well, that's all you want to use of that a product like that is once a year.
Right. That's
You
all
wanna-
you need.
You want to switch it up with some other stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, if you don't rotate your treatments, I had a couple of beekeepers to come by the booth down there at Nobby saying, "Oh, well, I only treat once a year." Okay, what do you use? Oh, well, I use peppermint oil or something like that. Okay, does it work for you? Yeah.
Yeah, and they
Well, where do
wonder
you
why
live?
the bees die.
Well, were you the one?
I don't quite. He says a limited sample size. I don't understand that part of it.
Hey, Keith, Kenneth, come on in here a minute. I got
Yeah,
a couple
come on in,
questions
Keith.
for you. Come on in here.
Come on in. We need some new blood in here.
Yeah.
I was watching a video today where a man was talking about Varroa, and he said they do not like humidity. So I'm wondering if that's why the people in South Louisiana have a better time with them not treating.
Well, were
Well, there
you
is.
asking if there was anything that anybody learned that was going to change their beekeeping this year?
Yeah.
Earlier?
Yep. Absolutely.
I have a lot of friends that went to a lot of these things, and they came out, and I said, you have to remember, all these people you're going to see are southern beekeepers. I
Yep.
said, so you can take what they say, add it to what you've got, but it's totally different up here in New Hampshire than a lot of the southern ones. Even, you know, where Sawmill Charlie is, it's quite a bit of different beekeeping. We get a lot more weather, and
Hey, Kenneth, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, I was just
Hey,
curious,
guys.
you know, from a treatment or from, you know, managing their bees or handling their bees or, you know, if there was anything any different anybody was doing or gonna do because they heard of it.
So, in your statement there, Kenneth, you said correct only one treatment cycle with no problems, a limited sample size. Kind of elaborate on that some.
Right. What I was trying to say was that I've only used it once in 2024. I did 4 doses of 25 grams in late July is when I started. So I've only used it for 1 year, and had no problems that year. But I haven't used it more than once. So maybe it was a good year as far as weather that I had and temperature. So we'll see again this year because I do plan to use it again after the honey flow.
So that was
So,
April.
what was your temperature? Do you remember?
I'd have to look at my notes. I have the dates and everything written down. I think it was in the upper 80s is when I started.
All
And
right.
July and August is generally hot for us. This year
Yeah.
we had a really hot June, unusually hot June. And then, but yeah, I believe it was, 88, maybe 90 or so when I started using it and didn't have any issues, at least that I noticed.
Well, that's what I was figuring. I was kind of leaning towards the 80 to 85 range and keeping out of the 90s. If I can get that first set of window of 4 days, and I don't know, July usually it's hot, but sometimes, most of the time sometimes it's not humid either. I won't say it's cool, but that's what that was kind of one of my parameters I was going to try to shoot for.
Yeah, we're always humid down here, so it's
Where are
it's
you
usually pretty
located?
bad in July and August. I'm in Winsboro, which is about 30 minutes north of Columbia, so kind of right in the middle of the state.
Okay.
You're right north.
About,
You're right north of Bob Walker, then.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm about 40 minutes from Bob and about hour and 20 minutes south of Charlotte.
Okay.
So how many hives you got, Keith? Kind of.
Pardon me?
How
How
many
many
hives?
hives? How many hives do you have?
Oh, I've got right now I've got 42.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I went into the winter with 38, and then I bought 4 from another beekeeper that they had been kind of abandoned, neglected. So I added a few there and babying them along through the winter. But yeah, we're so far they're all still alive.
That's good.
That's
What other
good.
treatment? Whatever treatments have you been using
In
for this year?
2024, I did OAV right after I took the honey supers off with mixed success, so kind of in June. And then I just finished up another 4 rounds of OAV maybe a week or so ago. So just vapor and Apigar. That's all I did this past year.
Okay.
Yeah.
You should have clean
Billy,
bees.
yeah. Billy Lee's answer. I will use Aprigard hopefully in early July after the supers are off. And I will use Formic Probe in September around Labor Day. And then around November, when all the brood is out, I will use OA Vapor throughout the winter, about twice a month, basically.
Mm-hmm. So did you do mite counts after you did your Apigard treatment?
I did. So I had some colonies that were pretty high. Like I had one, I think that was in the 40s, and I stopped counting at that point. And after the third treatment, so the third week of 25 grams, it was down to 4, and I didn't do a count after the 4th. But all the other ones were pretty good at 0s to 1s. And I think at that point I had about 38 or so, 40 colonies, and I was washing all of them.
1 cup sample size.
Yes.
Okay.
Or the half cup of bees, doing it once after the
Yeah.
treatment.
Right.
So that was the first time I used Apigard, and I was pretty happy with it. So I plan to use it again this year.
Okay.
That's my
Uh,
plan. To use it in the fall next year once the temperatures come down enough.
Well, the problem with that is, Will, if you use that in September, you're not going to get your winter bees up and running
Nope.
by that time.
That's true. I got to do it in August.
I would do it back in July or something.
Yeah.
That was my problem with it too. I mean, that was
Well,
one thing
then
that
you're in the,
huh?
yeah, then you're in the temperature thing. You do it.
That's why.
Do it. I was going to do it this year, and I was screwed up with temperatures, so I did the, 4 grams, 4 days apart for 7 rounds, and that wiped them out. You know what I mean? Because I just couldn't get that's my thought, Charlie. I want to mix that in because I'm just using, OA strips and OA vapor, and I want to mix in a different thing, and I want to mix in something with the thymol in it. But you're right. The struggle's going to be when I can do it temperature wise.
Well, I mean, where you're at, I would say if you do Formic around September, it doesn't.
Formic, buddy.
No. Well,
I want to do I want to do the Apigard. It's just hopefully I can get some cool temperatures to do it this year.
So I'm looking at my notes. We put Apigard in on July 27th. It was 98 degrees when we put it in the hive.
Woo.
man, that's high.
It was a half treatment, 25 grams. I had a 6 mite wash before we started. On average, that was the average over all the hives. Put it in. It stayed in for 2 weeks. I took it out. It was the day I took it out. It was 92 degrees. The mite wash was a 2. And I went back a week later and checked for brood in the hive, and she was laying like crazy. And
Hey Bill, I'm gonna get off here. My battery's about to die anyway, and my battery on my phone and my own personal battery's going out.
All right, Phil. Thank you for coming in, buddy.
Bill,
All
nice
right.
seeing you.
Talk to you guys later.
So I know it works in the summer. I know it works in the heat. I know it works with the high temperatures, and I know it's safe to use. And that's why we use it.
Wow, I was scared to use that over 84, 85, 86 degrees.
Yeah, the upper temperature limit on the Apigard is 104.
Okay.
Bill, how does that compare to the Formic price per treatment?
It's more expensive.
Is it? I was just wondering because I've never used it.
Yeah, it's a little bit more expensive per treatment, but
It is.
maybe it's worth it.
All right, M&J. He wants to know what happened to. I think where are we at here?
Apitab.
Apitabs.
Yeah.
I think they're a good addition.
Yeah.
But don't put all your baskets or all your eggs in one basket.
No, because there's not 25 grams of thymol in that Apitab. It's more like I think it's between 10 and 13 grams. And it's not enough to do a full treatment. So, it's a good supplement, put it that way. Because Apitabs aren't a treatment, they're a supplement.
Bill, have you heard anything about feeding Hive Alive in your syrup? that has a little bit of thymol in it, that they tolerate the Apigard with the thymol better when they're used to having that. Have you heard anything about that?
The thing with Apigard is you'll get some hives that'll propolize it up because they hate it. I saw a statement on here earlier about mixing a little sugar in it. So they'll go to it and take it. And that may be true, but you're always going to have hives that aren't going to like it and they're not going to do anything with it. They're going to propolize it up.
Yeah, but he's talking about Hive Alive fluid or liquid stuff or something.
I don't know about that. I've never heard of it being done. They don't recommend you feed when you use Apigard.
Yep.
Because you want them to take it. You want them to use that. I don't know.
And you don't want to have OA strips in either, because there's a reaction between the OA and the thymol and the Apigard, I hear too, or can be.
Yeah. So Michael's made a good statement, a good question here. Yeah, you don't worry about the heat index. It's the actual temperature on the thermometer, not the heat index. Then it'll tell you that in the directions.
Would it also make a difference whether you had an insulated top? You know, because wouldn't some of that be caused by the heat just pounding on top of it?
It could.
I've seen a video years ago that came and did. And of course, now he's using migratory lids, I think.
Yep.
And he and he didn't finish the video out. I don't know why he ran out of time or what. He put, I'll say 25 grams of Apigard on a card on the hive, put his lid on there. And then he put another lid up on top and kind of made like an air, where the lids sat up, where there was an airflow underneath of it, where it kind of shielded the top of the original lid, from the sun and everything. And I don't know whether that actually would help that much or not, but
so it didn't vent it, but give it a break from the sun.
Yeah.
Well, it's irradiating heat from that first lid down in there. It would, it would make more of an airflow, maybe a cooling factor of some sort. If you had one of these insulated lids, maybe so. Or if you put insulation, like right now, my hives have got 1.5 inch insulation on top. Put that insulation back on there and insulate it from the heat versus the cold.
Now, did that go right on the brood chamber?
Yes, it goes right on top.
What happens when you're running a double deep and they're both full? Do you have to put 2 trays in?
Is that your brood chamber?
I have double deep and they fill them both full of brood.
Okay.
I would say put
it in the middle.
Yeah, I would too. I'd put it in between them.
All right. I've never used it.
You got to think about this now. Apigard is not just contact. It's gas and contact.
I would say you would put it up on top of the second deep when you would do it. Now, for me, if I have 3 mediums and the brood is in the 2 bottom mediums, and then you have a honey box on top, I would put it. And that was another thing. I'd put a shim on there. You got to have a space. You need about 1.5 inch shim, and then put your Apigard on there. And then for me, it would be the 3rd medium on top of that.
And you can't run Apigard when you had a honey on.
Right.
No,
right.
You can't.
Not as far as honey that you're going to extract.
Right.
Because it's honey for them. If you leave honey on the hive for them, and you're just not knocking down to a 2 box for the winter, but if you leave honey on there for them, which you should leave at least 60 pounds on the hive for them, then I would, if you've got a double deep brood box, it says put it on top of the brood box.
With a shim.
Yeah, with a shim.
You got to have a shim.
So putting it in between is not the right thing to do.
I've seen
Yeah, I
it
think I
done wrong.
remember reading or seeing somewhere that if there's two, like a double deep, it should go on top.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't remember where I
Now,
saw that.
Mark Miller on here. We were talking about Brad from Cajun Homestead having the vault where they propylized like a volcano around it. And then he had another hive where they didn't do anything with it. And the gel crystallized because it dried out. And those two hives he had overrun with mites. And that's why he was been using these the last couple videos. And Mike Miller said, sprinkle some sugar on that. Now, I don't know whether it works or not, but he said it might, or I think he's had it done and it seemed to work. So I might try that. You know, if I got one of those type of highs that doesn't want to take it down.
Bill, what kind of shim do you use for your for Apigard?
I have a little 3/4 inch shim that I put on,
Okay.
and it's got two bars going across it, and then two bars right in the center, so it holds that card in the center.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
if I put a full dose in there like you used to, it'll hold that 10, that square 10. It's big enough to hold that 10 in that little 3/4 inch shim.
Now, Tiny Creek Air, he's used Apigard, and you do put it up on top of the brood chamber. You don't need a medium on top. You just need a
shim.
A shim, a treatment on a single brood chamber with just a shim. All you need is a feeder shim. That's what I'm talking about, is a feeder shim.
Yeah, all my lids have just a 1/2 inch shim built into the lid, and that's what I use. And I had a couple colonies that did make, completely surround it with propolis, from the card all the way up to the roof. But it was only maybe 2 or 3 that did that. And all the others just kind of
that's
took it
what
out.
Mike said, to pour sugar on top of them, they'll take it out. Maybe they, I don't know.
When you tested for mites, were those that propylized it all up, were they higher?
I don't remember. I didn't take note of that specifically, so I don't know.
Because it would be almost like they refused to have themselves treated.
Right. Yeah, they would do that, and then I would remove it for the next dose. And I can't remember now if they did it every time or if it just happened sometime. A couple of the 4 doses there, but yeah, I didn't record that.
Something else you can try that time of year, because there's no nectar coming in, they're still getting pollen. You can try some pollen sub mixed in with it or on top of it, Charlie, and they may take it better than sugar.
Yeah, I got dry pollen sub. I could sprinkle that on
Yeah.
it.
Or if you want to go to the expense and buy real pollen,
Yeah,
crush it up and put it on there, you can do that.
not get into all that.
Yeah.
Come on, Charlie.
I'm like Kenneth there. You got 40 some hives. You ain't got time to be fooling around. You got to go down the line and get it done.
Yep,
And
exactly.
even though I don't have 40 hives anymore, I'm down to about 28 or so. I'll hopefully go in the winter this coming next year. It's like, who was it I was talking to? The guy that came and picked up the vaporizer today, talking about he's out there just in a veil and a t-shirt and whatever. I said, how many hives you have? Well, I got 6. And he's like slowly picking, he said, if you run your hand real fast like that, the bees will jump on it because it's, it's shadow or whatever. And I said, well, I don't have time for that. I said, I got 16 honey hives I got to get through. You only got a weekend because the weather's coming in or something. And I said, I'm going to suit up and I'm going to wear gloves and get the job done. And, I think Kenneth will kind of agree with me there.
So there's a good question for you, Kenneth.
So yeah, I'm trying to, talking about being efficient, trying to learn to do that. And As far as the average honey harvest, I don't have a good number yet. In 2024, we took honey for the second time. So this is my fourth year as a beekeeper, or going into the fifth season. So I had a fairly low amount this past year. We had a storm that came in kind of in May and kind of shut everything off. And I just took the honey that they had and then continued to build and do some splits. So I don't have a good number. I had about 10 honey production colonies, and with spring and fall, I got about 400 pounds this past year. We got a little bit in the fall, but most in the spring.
Not
Charlie,
bad.
where are
See,
you at?
Huh?
Where are you at on that with your 16?
16. I mean, where I'm at, you mean?
Yeah, for
I mean-
like your average honey per colony.
And I just went up to 16 this year. So I had about 12 last year, and I think I was averaging 80 some pounds a hive. That's doing
Really?
that's doing a demery. That's also now with all that, you got to remember it's weather dependent. And you know, if it rains and whether it's dry or it had enough rain for the locust trees and poplar trees to bud out and put out a lot of honey. And I do a rolling demery where I'm pulling brood out of the bottom box, putting it up on the top box, up on top of the hive stack, and I got my honey supers in the middle. That's why I have a hive lifter.
Because
And
I had 12 on honey this year. The rest I was splitting, and I made about 50 pounds. Right on 50 pounds.
that's about the
colony.
average.
And now I didn't go after the goldenrod and the asters at the end. I let them keep all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. This year was an unusual year. We actually had an extended flow into July, and I didn't recognize that, to be quite honest with you. I'm going by what I normally April, May, and June, and then around the 4th of July, you always pull your honey.
Yep.
And other years prior to that, sometimes around the 25th of June, you're done. The damn flow was totally over with. This year was a weird year. And I might have got a few extra 100 pounds if I left it. But on the other hand, I put my third medium back on top. A couple weeks later, it's completely full by the bees. So they have plenty of food to get through July and August into September, where about the 15th of September, I start feeding and all. So it all worked out. I got over a little bit of 1,000 pounds, like 1,010 pounds this year.
That's great. We had rain come in and wash our locust flow out. You know, it washed all the nectar out and screwed things up pretty good on that and the poplar as well. So for us,
Let's see.
Charlie, do you do a demery for all of your honey production colonies?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
Yeah, that's something I haven't tried yet.
I do a rolling demery, or you can take everything out of the bottom, they say, and put everything up top except for the queen, and let's say 2 frames of brood, along with maybe 1 frame of some nectar in there and some brood. And I think that's how Bill does it. It'll go for the rest of that season, I think.
Yeah. See, Charlie does what he calls a rolling demeray, where he's always pulling frames and putting on the top. I do what's called the traditional demeray split. So we take the old brood box off, take 2 frames of brood out and the queen out, and put them in the bottom, put a queen excluder on it. And then I put 2 or 3 honey supers on, another queen excluder, put the old brood box on top. I come back 7 days later and I kill all the queen cells in the top, every one of them. I pull each frame, inspect it, look, because they will hide those queen cells. So I kill all those queen cells off. Now it's too late for them to make another queen. So as that brood hatches out up there, those nurse bees go to the bottom. and start taking care of brood down there with the queen. Now everything that's opening up on the top, they're backfilling with honey, and they backfill all the way down. And then if I need that gets full, I'll pull the old brood box off, take the queen excluder off of it, and stick another medium up there and put the old brood box back up on top, and they'll fill the next one.
So a couple questions. When you do that initial setup, when do you do that in relation to the start of your nectar flow in the spring? Do you try to time it to a specific, certain number of weeks before, or
I
how do you do
watch
that?
what's blooming. When I see the maples start down here, that's when I set my demarys up. Whenever they start.
And
If
when
they
is that
start-
for you?
Are you using rocket fuel in any of your feed in the fall or anything?
No.
I am, yes.
Okay. Have you noticed that them babies are rocking and rolling about 2 weeks sooner? As far as population and everything. As far as
For
your
me,
hives.
I just started using it for the first time this summer. The summer and the fall.
Fall, you put rocket fuel in there.
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
I can tell you one thing. Let me put it to you this way: you go in there, you check them hives about 2 weeks sooner than you normally do, because they're going to be
Yep.
boiling over. If everything is good, if your queens are good, and everything is good, and like for me up here, I got pollen patties at the knobby. I'm going to give them that when you open that hive up, you shouldn't be able to see your frames. It should be just bees. And if you got a hive like that, you're going to throw the whole pollen patty on there, the whole pounder. For me, 1st of February. And by the 3rd week of March, you better start putting your honey supers on just to give them room. And then about the middle of March, for me, the maple buds will start blooming, and they'll be done the pollen patty. They're not going to touch it anyway after the maples start to bloom.
Right.
And I'm gonna be putting probably 2 honey. People ask me, why are you putting 2 on? I said, just for the sheer room of it. And when you do that demery, you put that brood up top, that sucks in bees up into that hive, up into that brood, that honey chamber. And and then you got the single brood chamber management, where the single brood down there, the cubic inches or feet or whatever you want to call it down there, she lays it all up. They don't have any room to put any honey down there except for maybe in the corners. So they're going to put everything upstairs into those honey supers. And you know how it used to be, you get in there, well, I got to take the outside frames and put them in the middle for them to fill the frames. You don't have that problem with single brood chamber man, because you're forcing them or manipulating them to put everything upstairs. And one thing I did a couple of things this past year where I under supered some of the hives, and other ones I just over supered, stacking the box on top. And it wasn't a great difference, but what I did see was that the bees like to fill the boxes from the top down, not from the bottom up. And all that's something that I learned this year.
Because if you think about the tree, what they do in the wild, they fill the honey from the top down, because that demeray split is mimicking a tree, is what it's doing.
Okay.
So Clueless Beekeeping asked what rocket fuel was, and Jonathan Stevens answered him. And also Gary Stewart made a comment on here. He figures 40 days back, and we start April 1st, and we count back 45 days. And that's when 45 to 50 day mark is when we start feeding pollen patties. And it's usually sometime between the 1st and the 15th of February. And we feed the 4% global patties is what we feed. And by the 1st of April, I've got hives. When I go out there and open hives up on end of March, 1st of April, I've got bees boiling up out of the tops of hives. And
The
that's
big
what
thing,
you want.
the big thing is if you kind of know when that maple tree is going to bloom, soon as
Yeah.
that fresh stuff comes in, they don't want to have nothing to do with any pollen patty. So
Right.
I've learned for me, I'll say around the 15th of March is when that maple's going to bloom. So I better have those pollen patties in there around the 1st of February
Yep.
and give them at least 4 to 6 weeks on that.
So you,
Yeah.
you
ever
try to
heard
put
that?
them in 4 to 6 weeks before the maples open up.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as
Before-
any
whatever
natural pollen starts, they will
Yes.
not touch your pollen patties. They're done with them.
Okay.
I'm going to go get the
Whatever
good stuff.
blooms first in your area. So you need to kind of talk to a horticulturist or somebody in an ag program in one of the high schools or the colleges down there and say, okay, what blooms first in this area? You want to count back 45 to 50 days, and that's when you want to start feeding pollen because you want to kick that queen off the laying so that you have a huge population of bees when that stuff starts blooming. And that's when we try to do our demarree splits, is right around as soon as that stuff starts blooming, because you're already going to have a huge population of bees in that hive to start with. And the workers are going to be out. And when they come back, there's another hive. There's a bigger hive there for them to fill. Some of the younger workers are going to revert back to nurse bees to take care of the brood in the bottom, because you got nurse bees at the top taking care of brood up there.
Mhm.
And until they come down to take care of the brood at the bottom, somebody's got to help take care of it. So the younger workers will revert back to a nurse bee to take care of it. So now your foragers are coming back to the same hive they left, just a different configuration.
Right.
And she will fill those demarays because the demarray is going to give you more honey and it's going to give you a bigger bee population. So now you got late season splits after you tear it down and get your honey.
Mhm.
So,
So if you
so
know,
Bill, are you running double deeps and then you pull that one brood up, like you're saying, the one brood
I
box?
run a deep medium brood
Okay.
box.
So you're pulling the medium up.
No, I'm pulling the deep up.
Oh, you run your medium on the bottom.
No, I pull that off, pull the deep off, put a brand new deep medium there.
Oh, okay.
Queen excluder. And there's frames in there for it. And then all that goes up on top.
Okay.
So when you
And
put your deep on with the 2 frames of brood, are you putting drawn comb or just foundation so they'll draw it out?
It's a mixture of both.
Because I know sometimes they say you can just put regular foundation in and they'll draw that all back out so she has a place to lay.
I don't think you got enough bee power there to do all that.
Yeah.
It depends on the flow. If you got a great flow, then you're going to have a lot of your honey going towards wax production. Now with me, I do the rolling memory, so I'm pulling up cat brood up to the top box, and sometimes a lot of times I don't have enough cat brood upstairs to fill that box. So what do? I put in foundation, and they will start up. They'll start from that top down, and guess what? They're going to start drawing wax up there. They'll start draw. You know, I'm making wax, and I'm making expanding brood, and it's like Gary Stewart here. You need the foragers. That's why you need those 40 days prior with the pollen patties. So you build up your forager force. And that's what's making that hive make more honey, because you got a bigger army force going out, grabbing it and bringing it back in.
Yeah. Now, there's been a couple of statements on here that I've got one queen up. I don't have any queens up top. I don't have a top entrance. I have the only entrance is the lower entrance. And that's it.
Yep.
So
And that's
Bill, would you
it.
say with 2 frames of brood in the bottom, and if you put maybe 4 frames of drawn comb with them and the rest foundation?
Yep. I put drawn comb on each side
Yep.
2 frames of brood in the middle, and then another 2 frames of drawn comb, kind of in between the outside and the 2 in the middle.
Yep. I'm gonna try
And
that.
she will go to town because
Yeah.
she's thinking, God, I've lost my bees. I've got to refill this hive. I got to make more bees to keep it going.
Now, Michael Ernest, he's down in Nashville. I know that they start earlier down there and they end later. So your honey season's about 4 months longer than ours.
Yeah.
It starts blooming around, maples start blooming in January or the beginning of February. Okay. I don't know what.
They're maybe 3 to 4 weeks ahead of me down there.
Yeah, I would say I know that when I was in Knoxville, they were 4 to 6 weeks ahead of me.
Yeah. So I'm watching what's blooming south of me. So we're in January, so I'm already watching what's starting to bloom in Georgia, South Carolina. It's coming up, and I can kind of count back, and I know about when it's going to hit here.
Yeah.
Yeah, our maples bloom first to second week of February. When would you set up the demeray if that's when those were blooming?
If it's second week of February, watch your weather, make sure it's going to be warm enough. But I would be setting it up end of the first week, beginning of the second week. Make sure that it's blooming and the flow is started, and then get it going.
Okay.
I mean, what's your temperature right now, Ken?
Right now, well, we're gonna have some cold weather this week. So this week is a little bit unusual. We're dipping down to highs of mid 40s and lows down into the 20s. But then it's going to get back up. I've looked at some longer term forecasts, and we'll have towards the end of this month, highs in mid 60s, low 60s, and then into the 40s at night.
All right, so they're up and flying.
Oh yeah, they're flying.
Better be putting a patty in now.
Patty in now, or
I would definitely be putting it in now.
Or as soon as this cold spell's over with.
Yep.
Yeah, next
I
week
put
maybe.
the patties in now, and you're saying the 1st of February it's going to be in the 60s, and I can tell you right now here in Maryland, it is 23 degrees right now. About mid-January, she's going to have a spot about 2 inches in diameter where the eggs laying in there. She's going to start laying in mid-January. February, you're definitely going to see about 3 or 4 inches or more of eggs in there.
About baseball size.
I've seen it. I've seen it where it's like a rainbow, where you had sort of like a patch of cat brood, and then there's a rimmed eggs and larvae around it. And it all depends on, as I call it, bee power. If you got she'll lay only as much as she's got bee power to cover those eggs in order to keep it the warmth. So if you got a super strong hive, she'll lay a big pattern up because she's got the bees to cover that pattern, to keep it warm, to hatch it and all that stuff. So you're definitely it's a major difference in where you live at. I would say, as soon as this cold spell kind of gets over and it kind of evens out a little bit, I'd be throwing a darn patty in there. Now down there where you're at, you got a lot of hive beetle problems, I think.
It varies quite a bit based on yard. I know Bob has a lot of problems, and I've got 5 different locations where my bees are at, and I don't have anything near what he gets.
Well, I'm going to say management plays a big part.
Yep.
Yeah.
And You know,
Man,
like
send the
like
hive location.
Kodiak Farms is on here. He's using GrubX, and he poured the snot out of it out on the ground, and the hives were in a wooded area, and he didn't have hardly any real beetle problems because he is on top of it with
Yeah.
Right.
treatment or with some kind of underlayment or something of that nature there. You know, try to break, you know, for me up here, they always tell me, you know, well, you know, what's his name down there in Florida University talks about the darn beetle crawling 20 feet down the hallway and all this stuff. And I say, put carpet or put some type of weed barrier down to break the life cycle. I said, well, they're going to crawl out. I says, by the time they crawl out on a black surface, they're going to dry out where a bird's going to get them or something, or get the majority of them. You're going to you're going to reduce and cut that brood cycle in half, and all that. So, I mean, that's my take on it. And
I bought the 4-foot rolls like the landscapers where they grow flowers that the weeds
Yeah.
won't grow through.
Yep.
I put that in strips and set my hives right on that. But we don't have hive beetles up here. But it also keeps the weeds out of the front, the weeds out of the back. You know, so
Yep.
you're not spending all that time weed whacking.
That's exact right. That's what I got to do with those hives right behind me. There is, I got to pick them.
Being up here where it's cold, it gives it a little more warm in the winter.
I got to pick them up and get some. Do they make that stuff like 6 foot wide? I guess.
I think they make it up to 10 feet wide.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you can
And
just put
I've
2
seen-
rows, Charlie. You buy landscape and staples and just push them down and overlap it.
Yep.
But I need to freshen mine up because the carpet is rotting away. Or maybe I can find somebody carpet layers and maybe
Get some more good indoor outdoor.
Yeah, get some of that hallway carpet, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And all. But yeah, I mean, Ken, I mean that's what it sounds like to me. You once you get past this cold snap and you're in that 50-degree range or something like that in there somewhere, you know, bees, if it gets 45 degrees, cluster breaks. They might not be flying, but they're inside the hive moving around. And that's when I usually like to vaporize. And
Right.
And if it hits around 48, they're starting to come out and fly.
Yep.
And they're in there and they're not coming out. But that's where the pollen patty comes in. Hey, they can't go out and get it naturally. So now you supplied it in inclement weather and it's too cold or whatever. There's food for them to munch on.
Yep.
Okay.
And they'll take it right to the queen and feed the queen that pollen. And she knows when she tastes that pollen, it's time to start laying eggs.
Okay. I've got 2 more Demaray questions for you, Bill and Charlie. So when you set up the initial Demaray, you put those supers above the bottom brood box, the one that you've got the queen in. And is that always drawn comb that you want to put in there?
You don't have to. I put just frames with foundation in there.
Okay, and that seems to work all right.
Yep.
That's for your
Okay.
honey supers, Ken.
Those are honey
Right.
supers.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have any drawn comb, you don't have any drawn comb.
Yeah.
But
But-
the thing of
Right.
it is like I was saying in the beginning, if you only have 1 deep or 2 mediums, it's all, the big thing about beekeeping is what I've found is how do you manipulate the bees to do what you want them to do and all that. And, I went to a meeting one time years ago, and this commercial beekeeper, young fella's just starting out. He's still keeping bees. And he says, the one guy, he made a statement. He says, now that wasn't him, it was another guy, but he was commercial. He said, well, we don't use 2 boxes. We only use 1 box, which was a single brood. Nobody talked about it back then, but he didn't explain why. And, I finally figured it out by myself. She lays everything up in those 10 frames and there's no more room to put any honey in or anything. and they've got you're manipulating those bees to push it upstairs and into those honey supers. And when they do that, maybe you can throw some a few frames of drawn comb along with some foundation, and they'll pull it out
Okay.
and everything.
And my second question was so you got that stack as it's going through the season, and if they need another super, do you put that on top of the deep that's on the top of the stack?
It's your choice.
If you wanted to add
It's
supers.
your choice. It's your
Okay.
choice.
I've heard on the Demery, I've heard some people put a honey super on top of that secondary brood chamber up on top, where they try to keep the honey out of that brood chamber, and they put it upstairs. I've learned this past year that I won't under super anymore. It's easier for me just to go down the line, and you just plop a honey super on, honey super on, honey super on, and then I have the brood chamber up top. It might be half full of brood, and I try to get in there. It seemed like I learned last year about every 7 days, you need to be looking at it. They're most likely the brood is hatched. Pull those combs out of there so they don't put any honey in there, so you can take them out of the bottom and all. It's a, everybody says that's a lot of work, and yes, it's a lot of work, but you're making a lot more honey money doing all that work. And it's like any job or anything you ever do, in order to get a lot of money out of it, it takes you a lot of work to get out of it. So
the other side of it is this: when you do a Demeray split, if you fail big. That's the other side of it. This year we were in a severe drought. I had one that failed completely. So you're either going to make it big or you're going to fail big. And that's the drawback with the Demeray split.
Yeah. Now, see, I was in a different area. I'm 3 hours away, and we had a drought, but I think it was kind of after the drought came after the honey flow here.
Yeah.
So, well, Bill, go ahead.
I do them every year, and I have good years, I have bad years. So
do you do all your hives that way, Bill?
No.
All your production hives, or do you keep some?
No. Because if I'm going to fail big, I only want it to fail at 1, maybe 2, not 20. I want to get.
And when you say fail big, what's happening in those that are failures?
If like last year we were in a severe drought, they didn't pack as much honey. The honey that they did pack, it was enough for them to have for the winter. So I got, I think, 1 super off of it out of 5 that was packed enough to even worry about extracting. And the rest of it got split between the rest of the hives for the winter. So that's what I mean by fail big.
Okay.
All that work with no reward.
There you go. So it's almost 10:30, fellas and ladies, and I appreciate everybody coming out. If you enjoyed yourself tonight, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button. Helps us all out in the long run. And I'll see you Friday night on Charlie's Chat.
All right. Thanks for coming in, Ken. I appreciate it. Come on.
All right, I will. I didn't plan to come in today, but I watch a lot, and I watch them afterwards as well, kind of listen to them as podcasts while I'm doing my work. So I've caught up on all your live streams. So
yeah, but we enjoy at your level of beekeeping and what you're doing and all that stuff. Good night, Mike.
Good night, Mike.
And all that. And I always what you did with AprilGuard and different things of that nature, I enjoy. It's get that information out that everybody can kind of take those nuggets of information and hopefully use it in their own apiary.
Night, Jonathan. So I appreciate everybody coming out. We had a great chat tonight. A great bunch of people on here. So y'all have a good day tomorrow and have a safe week. Good night.
All right. See y'all.
Hey, guys.
Hey,
Good
Bill,
night.
are you working tomorrow?